Boo! What's up, guys? Welcome back to Lenny the Bear. I'm Murphy, and if I look a little bit tired, that's because I've just gotten off a 7-hour marathon recording session with a good friend of mine in quite a few video games today, so you'll be seeing some stuff pop up on the channel over the next few weeks. We recorded a lot of stuff, and there's a lot of good stuff coming your way, so if you don't want to miss any of it, please subscribe to the channel Lenny the Bear, or you can now follow us on Twitter at LTBYouTube. That's at LTBYouTube. If you're wondering why we don't have at Lenny the Bear, that's because that's a joke account and it was already taken, so I had to come up with something else. But follow us on Twitter and you'll get all this behind the scenes stuff. You'll also get links to our videos and content, and we also retweet some news stories and stuff that's happening not just in the gaming industry but also the entertainment industry, so please support us on there as well. Now that I've got that out of the way though, this is Opinionate, and it's that time of week again where we have The Walking Dead, and this week it was Season 7, Episode 4, Service, and what an episode. We have some stuff to talk about. The first thing I want to talk about was, did this episode really need to be an extended episode? Because I don't think it did. It was a pretty great episode, don't get me wrong, but there was no reason for it to be an extended episode. Now, of course, this week's episode focused on that part of the comics where Negan comes to Alexandria for the very first time, and it's a pretty pivotal part in the comics. It's that part in the comics where Rick reveals that he is actually intending to fight Negan and the Saviors, and in the TV show, that didn't happen. So I was quite surprised. Negan, this is the first time since the season premiere that we really got another good look at him. We got a bit of a look at him last week, but he was more of a supporting role, whereas this week he was definitely pretty much the second main character next to Rick. And it's getting to the point now where I do think, and this is nothing against Jeffrey Dean Morgan's performance, this is more to do with the writing, but Negan is now starting to become a bit more of a one-note character. We got some good stuff and we got some not so great stuff with Negan this week. The great thing is something that I touched on in last week's Opinionate episode, which was Negan doesn't kill women, and that's something that is established in the comics, and this week it was touched upon. I was saying last week I was really hoping it was something that the writers and the producers were going to address, and it was finally addressed this week. Negan full out admitted he doesn't like to hurt women. It's not something he wants to do. But it also kept true to the comics where there is a line, like if he has to do it, if he believes it's something that he needs to do, he will do it. So for that, it's great development, I think, for his character. But on the not so great side, pretty much the rest of what we saw of him this episode was kind of what we've already seen. You know, we've already seen him trying to threaten Rick, walk around like he's twirling a cane or something, I don't know. Now, there were two subplots in this week's episode, but the one that I want to talk about is to do with Rosita and Spencer. They had to go away and find Daryl's bike for Dwight, and, you know, it was fine. It was more filler, which The Walking Dead does have, but I didn't have any specific problem with it other than the fact that Dwight seemed like a complete dickhead again. And especially after the efforts that were made in last week's episode to sort of humanise him, to show that other side to him, just wasn't there at all. I know that they can't try and rush into the development because, spoilers for the comics, Dwight does actually come round and eventually does join the main group in some sort of fashion. So I know they don't want to rush into that, but at the same time they could have at least sort of toned down a bit the fact that, you know, they could have toned down the way he was acting. Now, going back to Rick in this episode, big shout out to Andrew Lincoln's performance. It was really, really good this week. I really enjoyed watching Rick. But one of my favourite parts to his story this week, and it wasn't the ending, I'll get onto that in a bit, it was to do with Father Gabriel. I thought that was really, really quick thinking on his part, and it sort of underlines that maybe the seeds are there that he does eventually want to take on the Saviors. And what I'm talking about there is to do with the graves. They also pretend that Maggie is buried there, and I thought that was brilliant. And of course, you know, for the reason of plot, eventually that's going to come around and bite him. It's got to. It has to. I think the thing that people are going to be talking about with this episode, and I've already seen people online talking about it, is what Rick reveals at the end of the episode, and I feel like this was perhaps why it was extended, so they could fit in what they already wanted, but also get this slight ending in there, where Rick finally reveals to Michonne, who, as a side note, has clearly been taking Andrea's place in the comics, especially for this episode, where she's just really stone-faced and hates Negan, and clearly does hate Negan. But the big thing with this episode was Rick revealing to her that Judith was actually Shane's daughter, and okay, it still might not be correct, but I think this is as big a confirmation as fans of the show are going to get. And it's never been the most pressing matter, but it has been a lingering question in the back of fans' minds since season 3. 4 seasons, well, 3 seasons and a bit later. It's good to actually finally have some sort of resolution to that lingering question. Why it took the producers and the writers so long to get there, I don't know. But it's good to finally have a bit of closure on that, and it was great as well because it explained Rick's motivations for this episode, but it also laid the groundwork, I think, for when he will eventually come around to fighting Negan and his gang. All in all, was it a great episode? Yep, did like it, but there was absolutely no reason for it to be as long as it was. It did sort of drag on a little bit. Also, Negan is starting to become a bit of a one-note character. We do need to see another side to him. I think a great way to do that, and it's something that the comics did much later on, is to show his origins. We do sort of need to see what he was like before the Walker outbreak. In between the weaker moments, this episode did have some strong moments that I believe fans are going to be talking about for a while, so that I really enjoyed. What did you guys think? Did you really enjoy this episode, or did you hate it and have finally stopped watching The Walking Dead, or are thinking about doing so? Tell me what you think, write a comment down below, give us a like and subscribe to the channel for more videos like this one, and don't forget to follow us on Twitter at LTBYouTube. Thanks very much. Boo!